Right, so this month's project is looking at moving a little bit more towards abstraction. Okay, so that was one of the requests that I had. So last week I just showed a few, I'll just do a little recap, there's one or two people up here. Just talked a little bit about collage and just showed a few of these. So these are sort of collages that I've done in the past. So basically using paper, coloured papers and cutting and pasting. So that was some of the collage I showed. Actually the morning group requested that we had a go at this. It's like a drawing towards Cubism type project. Okay. So this is actually Mal, who was here a minute ago. One of her examples from, this was 2011 that I first did this one. And also brought the project back in 2017. So Mal's very kindly let me borrow a couple of her examples. So these are a couple of the ones that she's painted when we run this project.
What's it done in?
Sorry?
What's it done in? Acrylic?
I'm guessing I think that's acrylic. This one looks like watercolour and pen. I think this one is pastel. So to be honest, it doesn't matter too much what the medium is. You could try, if you're actually having a go, I'm thinking perhaps we'll run this for a couple of weeks if people want to. You don't have to. If you find you've burnt it out after a week, that's fine. So the morning group felt like they could go another week on it, maybe do a bit of painting. So today we'll just do a little bit of drawing in the morning, and then I think we'll painting next time. And that's a couple of nice examples that, to be honest, are better than my examples. And I'll do a little demonstration of how we go about it. So these are a couple of Picasso paintings. So the sort of Cubism started off looking a bit more like this, and then they became more sort of recognisable shapes. I think the early Cubism was a bit more fragmented. Something a bit more like that. And the idea really was that rather than having a fixed viewpoint, so you're sitting there and looking from one particular point and using traditional sort of Renaissance style perspective with like vanishing points. The idea of this was to try and make a painting where you're painting that object, but you're painting it from different angles, different positions, so you're not just keeping to a fixed viewpoint. So that's what they were aiming at. Whether you think that works or not is a different matter, but I think it still comes up with quite an interesting, quite a lovely sort of painting. It's more abstracted, more stylised kind of painting.
When you say different positions, do you mean in the same picture? So
Yeah.
So you do perhaps the bottle at one angle, and then you'll do the rest somebody else at a different angle.
You could do that, or maybe looking this way, then looking that way. Different angles. This exercise I got out of a drawing book years ago, and there are slight variations on it if you want to do a simpler version. I've just kind of gone for that one. Good to see you. But this one comes up with quite a nice, interesting looking composition at the end. Now, the way I set it up this morning was I tried to separate the tables out and have the still lives in the middle and then try and move around. But then it occurred to me actually if I put them on the board, the artists could stay still and we could just rotate the still life and that might be slightly because we haven't got that much room in this particular studio, and there's a lot of us these days. So that is how I think we'll go about it. So I'll put that one, I've started that one there, and we've set that on a bit of cardboard. And if we want to do another one, I've got one bit of board here, and I'll do this one as well. So basically, what the idea is, I'll do a quick demonstration. Hopefully we'll come up with something a little bit like that style. That was my very quick demo from this morning. What you're aiming to do to start with is come up with a line drawing. So you don't need to put any tones, any colours in to start with. I'm just using a pastel pencil. One thing I would suggest, which I didn't suggest this morning and I kind of forgot about, is to kind of use lots of the space. Don't do a tiny little still life in the middle here. Try and sort of fill it out, and you get a more interesting design that way. So what's a good idea is have something tall in the middle. So there's a couple of bottles that I've got there, and that's like your anchor. So if you use the bottle as the starting point, and I'll just do it. And with this kind of drawing, it doesn't really have to be perfect and absolutely symmetrical. I'm actually that bit could have been a bit bigger, really. So the beer bottle in the middle, I'm going to sort of fill the space a little bit with, and then I've got a cup here. I've got the cup here. And obviously you can take a bit more time than I'm taking. I mean, if you've got a still life and there's loads of things in it, you don't have to draw everything in straight away. You know, maybe just pick a few objects that you like the look of. So that could go in there. Perhaps I'll have the shoe in here. Something like this. And it's got a little flower popping out the top. This is a very slightly simplified version of what I'm seeing. So that can be the shoe. Right, and then, yeah, maybe I'll start popping that in. Okay, I'm going to try that the other way. Just as a different shape. I noticed one or two people have brought things in, which is fantastic. I've got a few things here if you want to use these. So I'm seeing something like that. And then once you've done that, got a little bit down, we can then rotate the still life. And the idea is that you keep, say, the tallest thing, you keep that where it is, and you've just drawn that once, but other things you could draw again. So now I've got this other bottle that is superimposed over the top of that bottle. So this one here, start with cork, that bit there, that's coming down, that's coming up over here. And then I'm kind of drawing over the top of what was a cup there. And actually we've got some grapes here as well now, so start adding some grapes in. And a leaf here. And what I'm aiming for is an interesting, rhythmic, lyrical design rather than a naturalistic representation. So it's a matter of, you do a little bit of improvising. It doesn't have to be exactly, I'm stylising these, I'm just drawing them quickly to be honest. So there could be grapes in here. Perhaps at the bottom of that bottle there, that I can see there. I can now see the shoe again through the bottle, so that can come in here. And that's coming over here. The croc. So that'll come in there, finish that. So you just basically keep going until you've got, the cup is actually here now. So I've got it there, but I can also have it here. I think perhaps having the handle outwards is quite nice, because that would then balance that one. So I can put the cup in behind there, put the handle in. So you basically just keep going and make it as dense as you want it, really. You're aiming for a nice design. Almost feels like it could do something here. So perhaps there's actually the bowl. I haven't got the bowl in yet. That could go in there. Very quickly pop that in. Once you've got things overlapping, you've got things, enough objects. You could then think about, what area, which areas do I want light, which areas do I want dark. So you could pick a couple of colours or just pick a couple of tones, light and dark. So for instance, this is a white cup, but I might decide to make that a bit dark, just because I think it might look good. So that bit there, I can just using my pastel and make that dark. This bit here, maybe I'll keep that bit light and I'll make this bit dark. Maybe make the shoe dark, so perhaps leave the handle light. Yeah, so you're basically going by how you feel it would make a good design. And again, the background, you could improvise the background. So whatever kind of, I mean, I've got sort of pattern materials here, got a bit of pattern material in, or just whatever you fancy, really. It's what is right and what is wrong is what looks good. You know, it's more like design than creating something that's a nice, lively, interesting design. And I think you'll find, you know, if you do take part, you definitely think, well, that one looks a lot better than that one, or somebody's looks better than somebody else's, just because it'll have a stronger sense of rhythm, stronger sense of movement, maybe, you know, more interesting juxtaposition of lights and darks. You could just do black and white, or you could do maybe 3 different tones or 3 different colours. What I wouldn't do is go for hundreds, because I think it will just fragment and look totally incoherent. So you want to try and keep it looking, you know, interesting and lively, really. So that's that project. If any of you fancy doing that, either this week, I was thinking maybe make it available for a couple of weeks if people were interested. If it's not for you, that's absolutely fine. If you're not ready this week, we can always have a go next week. I was thinking that's my demonstration this week. Next week might be maybe bringing a bit of colour into it, maybe a bit of paint, a bit of collage, something like that. We've got a few collage materials that have been donated.
Amazing how effective it is.
Well, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
And sometimes it can, you know, sometimes when you go to a gallery and you see paintings like that, you wonder how they come about. Sometimes they can find, just having a go at an exercise like that, you get to sort of, you know, walk in somebody else's shoes for a little while and just see what they were, try and understand what they were having a go at. So if anybody fancies that, yeah, in terms of the logistics of it, I think what I'd intended before was to have like tables spaced out, and that's why the end one's spaced out. But because we are quite a big group, and the idea was that you then move around the table, but actually it's quite difficult because there's quite a few of us, and it occurred to me that it's a lot easier to just put the still life on, sort of improvise a lazy Susan. Basically just put it on a board and just put it down. But the main thing to remember is that you have something tall in the middle, and that is your anchor point. You know, that's the bit to, you know, if you turn it round, you can then think, well, that bit is now in front of here. But to be honest, if you found that this area is a bit too empty and you needed something else here, then just pop something else there. It doesn't matter too much. It's improvising and responding to what you see.
Did you make up the background for the same?
Well, you could, yeah, you could do. Yeah, I mean, one woman this morning did a really interesting one. She just did rather random shapes, and they just worked really nicely with the shapes did. Now, the mouse example, I think she's used some stripes in some of these. So, as I say, that was from. We had to go at this exercise back in 2017 as well as 2011. So that one should be that. And that's our other example. So yeah, it's just have a go and, you know, if you fancy it, have a go and see where you can go with it. Everybody okay on that? Okay.